You're not imagining things. You're remembering them. You've felt it before. The sudden stillness in the air, the invisible weight on your shoulders, the eerie sense that something is observing you. And yet, when you turn around, nothing. Everyone tells you it's just your mind playing tricks, that it's paranoia, fatigue, or childhood fears resurfacing. But what if the opposite were true? What if your sensitivity was a gift, not a glitch? What if this feeling of being watched is actually your body decoding energies that others have trained themselves to ignore? The truth is, you're not broken. You're awake in a world that's asleep. This isn't about ghost stories or conspiracy theories. It's about understanding how the human mind evolved, how Carl Jung uncovered the shadow and the collective unconscious, and why your ancestral memory might be the reason you feel eyes on you when no one's there. It's about subtle perception, field resonance, and the ancient language your soul still speaks, even if you forgot how to listen. You don't have to be psychic. You just have to stop dismissing your own awareness. You've always felt the veil. Now it's time to lift it. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Not everything unseen is a threat. Some things are trying to guide you. Some feelings aren't anxiety. They're alertness. And once you learn how to read the energetic field around you, you'll never walk into a room the same way again. You'll remember what your body has known for generations, and you'll finally see what's been with you all along. The energy field of memory. There's a reason some places just feel heavy. You walk into a room, and before a single word is spoken, something in your body tightens, your shoulders raise a little, and you suddenly become more alert. That isn't your imagination. It's your energetic field responding to subtle traces left behind by emotional events. Just like a sponge absorbs water, spaces absorb emotional frequency. That old guest room at your grandmother's house, or the hallway you always avoided as a child. Those spaces hold emotional residue, and your body, more than your rational mind, knows how to read them. This is the art of subtle perception, a kind of psychic awareness that's always been with you. Before your mind starts analyzing the room, color, furniture, lighting, your nervous system has already scanned it for safety. It's not magic, it's instinctual alertness. Carl Jung called it archetypal memory, and in psychoanalysis, this instant reaction is linked to ancient scripts embedded in your subconscious. Your mind may doubt, but your gut never lies. Have you ever met someone and immediately felt uneasy without knowing why? That's your soul memory detecting energetic dissonance before the conversation even starts. It's the same mechanism that warns animals of earthquakes before they happen. Your inner watcher is always online. You probably sense things other people shrug off. That unease when walking past a certain alley at night, or the pull you feel from an old photograph. This is your human mind remembering what your ego wants to forget. When you're spiritually sensitive, you're tuned into energetic fields most people have learned to block out. And here's where the philosophy of the inner life becomes practical. Honoring that instinct, not suppressing it, is part of individuation. You don't need to be psychic to feel what's there. You just need to stop gaslighting your own perception. Feeling watched when you're alone might not be a trick of the mind. It could be your field resonance picking up on subtle beings or ancestral imprints. The Jungian collective unconscious isn't limited to thoughts. It includes presences, symbols, and archetypes. Maybe you're not imagining something behind you in the hallway. Maybe you're remembering. Just like how music can bring back emotions from years ago, a location or energetic imprint can trigger a deeper knowing. And that feeling of being watched, that might be your primal alert system still doing its job after thousands of years. When people say, "Don't be silly, it's just your imagination," they're often speaking from their own disconnected state. But for someone who lives with spiritual presence, someone intuitive, in tune, aware of soul trauma, that imagination is often intuition in disguise. It's a form of multidimensional perception. You're not broken for sensing things. You're not crazy for looking over your shoulder. You're remembering something ancient, and you're not the first. The human story is written in layers. And what comes next? Well, let's just say some of those layers are collective, and they carry the weight of fear older than language. Collective archetypal fear. Long before we had doors, alarms, or passwords, we had instincts. That hair-raising chill you feel in the back of your neck when you're alone. It's not just paranoia. It's primal alertness, rooted in the very architecture of the human mind. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious, a vast inner library of ancestral memory. Buried in that library is an archetypal fear, the fear of the unseen predator, of the eyes in the dark, of something watching just beyond the firelight. You don't need to see danger to know it's near. Your psyche remembers what your intellect forgot. That's not anxiety. That's evolution. Jungian psychoanalysis doesn't treat fear as merely a malfunction. Instead, it sees fear as a doorway, a signal from the unconscious that something ancient is stirring. And when that fear arises without a clear cause, it might not be your story you're feeling. It might be inherited. Think about how many generations had to survive wild landscapes, warfare, betrayal, exile. Your body carries the code. Your inner life is shaped not just by childhood, but by thousands of soul memories echoing through the nervous system. Feeling watched when you're alone isn't irrational. It's instinctual, a coded alert from a time when being watched meant life or death. Ever walked through a forest and suddenly felt like something knew you were there? That eerie hush, that tightening in your chest, that's not random. That's your archetypal fears syncing with the environment. Not as superstition, but as survival. Even in cities, in brightly lit apartments, that part of you doesn't turn off. The mind might tell you to chill, but the energetic fields around you, subtle as they are, still communicate with your psychic awareness. This is where philosophy meets experience. It's not about fear-mongering. It's about understanding the roots of your own perception. When you sense something watching, try this. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, whose fear is this? Sometimes, you'll realize it's your grandmother's trauma. Sometimes it's the fear of a forgotten ancestor encoded in your cells. This is spiritual sensitivity at work, not dysfunction. It's a quiet conversation between your present self and the archetypal forces that shaped you. You're not just living your life. You're walking through the ghost trails of humanity. That's not poetic metaphor. That's multidimensional perception unfolding moment by moment, whether you acknowledge it or not. So the next time your heart races in an empty room, don't rush to explain it away. Instead, lean into it. Let your inner dialogue ask, what ancient memory is this? Who felt this before me? Awareness doesn't always mean safety, but it does mean power. The guardian spirits of your lineage may be closer than you think. And if fear is the echo of the past, perhaps what follows is the presence of something that never left. Presence beyond the physical. Not every presence you feel is there to haunt you. Some watchers, in fact, are watchers in the best sense of the word. Quiet guardians, ancestral protectors, guides cloaked in energetic fields too subtle for the physical eye. The mistake most people make is assuming all unseen entities are malicious. But Jung, in his exploration of the self and the shadow, knew that the unconscious is a mirror, and what you fear is often what you've misunderstood. Your spiritual sensitivity isn't just detecting threat, It's picking up on an entire spectrum of presences that exist beyond the veil. And some of them are rooting for you. Let's get real for a second. Have you ever had a close call, like a car that nearly hit you, and somehow you felt something warned you a second before it happened? That wasn't luck. That was presence. It's not always the ghost of some wandering soul. Sometimes it's a spiritual presence that exists to nudge you back on track. Guardian spirits, inner watchers, even higher aspects of the self. These are not fiction. They're part of what Carl Jung called the integration of the unconscious. They don't just watch you. They shape your individuation. Now, tuning into that presence without fear takes practice. Most people walk through life with the radio dial stuck on static. But those who practice subtle perception through meditation, inner dialogue, or ritual begin to notice a shift. They hear the whisper instead of the scream. They feel the nudge instead of the shove. Books like The Art of Living by Epictetus or The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer can train your mind to stop reacting and start listening. Because not all presence is there to test you. Some are there to reveal you to yourself. Being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. It means you're finally quiet enough to notice. That tingling at the crown of your head, that warmth in your chest when you're journaling late at night, those might be signs of aligned presence. In psychoanalysis, this experience is sometimes framed as the activation of the self, the moment the inner and outer worlds blur. You're not crazy for feeling watched. You're not broken. You're connected. And the deeper your awareness, the more clearly you'll sense the difference between fear-based shadow and love-based guide. So next time you pause mid-step because something felt off, or you suddenly feel eyes on you in an empty room, don't default to fear. Ask yourself, is this a threat or a signal? The presence you sense might not be there to scare you. It might be the very thing trying to wake you up. Because once you stop running from your perception, you can start asking deeper questions that eventually lead you into the truth of your own spiritual radar. Spiritual sensitivity as a gift. There's something quietly revolutionary about realizing your sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a feature. The world trains people to toughen up, to numb out, to stop being so dramatic. But those who carry spiritual sensitivity move through life like human tuning forks. They pick up on emotional shifts, psychic undercurrents, and veiled beings that others can't even name. This isn't about being fragile. It's about being aware. And in the language of Carl Jung, this is the beginning of individuation. The sacred process of becoming who you really are by integrating everything you've been taught to dismiss. Being sensitive means your energetic field is more porous. You might walk into a party and feel drained without knowing why, or sense sadness in someone who's smiling. That's not weird. That's a sign your psyche is attuned to subtle perception and likely has access to ancestral memory. The human mind isn't just logic and language. It's a multidimensional instrument capable of picking up signals that defy words. If you're constantly told to stop being so emotional, it's likely because you're surrounded by people who've long forgotten their own inner life. But here's the catch. If you don't ground that gift, it can drown you. Spiritual presence, psychic awareness, soul memory, these things need containers. That's why practices like breath work, earthing, and sacred ritual matter. They're not just woo-woo trends. They're the architecture your nervous system craves. Books like Clarissa Pinkola Estate's Women Who Run with the Wolves or Jung's Modern Man in Search of a Soul are essential reading here because they help you turn raw feeling into embodied wisdom. You don't want to escape your sensitivity. You want to master it. One of the most liberating moments comes when you realize not all presences feel the same. Some bring pressure, others bring peace. Some buzz with fear, others hum with warmth. Your job isn't to ignore the sensations, it's to discern them. When you sense a veiled being or an energetic shift, don't panic. Track the feeling. Where does it sit in your body? What images or instincts arise? The more you listen without flinching, the more accurate your intuition becomes. That's how you develop what Jung called a conscious relationship to the unconscious. And no, you don't have to live like a mystic in a forest to do this. You can live in a city, take the subway, and still carry spiritual presence. Sensitivity isn't reserved for gurus. It's wired into all of us, just more active in a few. If you're one of them, don't suppress it. Study it. Practice inner dialogue. Ask your dreams. Light a candle. Ground yourself with silence. Because once you stop fearing your radar, you'll start picking up on truths others will never see. And that's when fear becomes something else entirely. Turning fear into dialogue. What if fear wasn't the enemy, but a messenger? That tingling in your spine, the sudden shift in temperature, the sense of being watched in an empty room. What if instead of running from it, you asked a question? This is where the art of inner dialogue begins. Carl Jung believed that the psyche isn't just something we have, it's something we talk to. That presence you sense, it might not be there to scare you. It might be trying to speak. You don't overcome fear by banishing it. You transform it by listening. Because awareness, my friend, is not a curse. It's a key, a practical first step. Journal it. No filters, no edits. Just write, what did I feel? Or what was the presence trying to show me? Over time, you'll see patterns, emotional echoes, symbols, even names. This isn't superstition. It's the mind mapping its own subconscious terrain. Energetic fields interact with memory and archetype. You're not inventing stories, you're decoding them. In psychoanalysis, this is how the shadow communicates. It shows up as fear, but behind is always meaning. That meaning, it's yours to claim. And boundaries matter. You wouldn't leave your front door open all night. So why would you leave your energetic field unguarded? Ritual isn't about drama. It's about direction. Set up a nightly clearing. Light a candle. State your intention. Visualize your space sealed in light. Or use sound, singing bowls, clapping, even specific music to shift the vibration of your room. These actions send a message to both your unconscious and whatever unseen entities may be lingering. This is my space. Books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or The Book of Secrets by Osho can help anchor these practices with presence. Reframing fear as contact doesn't mean denying discomfort. It means questioning the script. Instead of something's wrong, try something's arriving. The presence might be an invitation, a guide, a memory surfacing. The collective unconscious isn't just trauma, it's wisdom, guardian spirits, soul trauma, ancestral echoes. All of it becomes useful once you engage instead of suppressing it. Intuition sharpens when you stop flinching at your own inner life. And fear, believe it or not, becomes the threshold to deeper psychic awareness. So here's the shift. From hunted to hunter, from haunted to aware. You're not just feeling watched, you're feeling. Period. And the next time that chill creeps up your spine, ask it what it came to teach you. Because once you learn to ask the right questions, the watchers stop being threats and start becoming mirrors. If you've made it this far, chances are you're not just curious, you're ready. Ready to stop second-guessing your intuition. Ready to stop shrinking your awareness just to make others comfortable. So let me ask you, how many times have you felt something was off and ignored it? How often have you dismissed that whisper in your gut as just overthinking? Maybe it's time to flip the script. What if your fear is actually your inner wisdom wearing a mask, daring you to look deeper? Don't just consume this knowledge. Live it. Start journaling those moments of unease. Light that candle. Ask the presence in the room what it wants to teach you. Revisit the stories you told yourself as a child and trace the thread that runs through them. Begin creating your own rituals for protection, for connection, for clarity. Because the more you engage with the subtle world around you, the more grounded you become in your own. Power isn't in pretending you feel nothing. It's in owning the fact that you do. So, what presence have you been running from? What messages are waiting in the silence you keep avoiding? Drop a comment below and share your experiences, because you're not the only one who feels this. And if you want to keep exploring these deeper dimensions of the human mind, of spiritual presence, of your own forgotten memory, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and let's keep diving together. The real story starts when the lights go out.